In this movie, we're going to talk about the graduated filter a little bit more. I'm going to show you a different version of how you can use it. So here we are, we're looking at a landscape, and with landscape photographs, the graduated filter works really well. So first of all, I'm going to show you some issues with this image here. So for example, it's sort of backlit. You can see the mountains here, they're shadowed. The foreground plant life is shadowed. This is taken Death Valley. And we don't have a lot of detail in these shadows down here. So I'd like to control the foreground, these plants, different than the mountains and the sky. So the graduated filter is going to help me with that. So I'm going to click on it one time to bring it up. And first I'm going to increase my exposure. So I'll click below it and I'm going to drag this up a little bit. And remember, the bottom to the middle is full strength. The full strength up is going to have a fade off effect. So I'm going to pull this up to really just sort of allow kind of the mountains to fade out a little bit here. And I'm going to up my exposure. I go a little extreme here. And so I'm okay with allowing this to have a little bit more. I'm going to kind of compress this a little bit. I'm kind of finding sort of a sweet spot here to kind of play around in. Now, if there's a part of the landscape that I think doesn't need quite as much, I could adjust that accordingly. But the key thing here is it's really doing the bottom, it's not really doing the sides. And if I need to, I'll go ahead and I'll play with these mountains and I'll kind of mask those out separate. So I'm going to kind of find my sweet spot here. I'm going to try and make it so that I do have blacks where I need them. So I'm allowing them to stay and sort of play so that I do have some true black. Maybe I'll increase my contrast just a little bit, and I will lighten my shadows a little bit more. So I'm kind of finding sort of a sweet spot here. And if I feel like it's affecting anything in the mountains, I'll change it. So I'm just kind of looking and seeing how it's looking. Here's the original photograph, totally underexposed, and here it is currently being played around with. So I'll hit done, and I'm looking to see if I see any kind of issue here. Now I'm going to pretend I do. I'll go back to graduated filter, and I'll click back on my pen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the brush, and with the brush I'm going to change the brush to erase. And over here in the mountain area, I'm just going to erase any kind of effect. You can see it was starting to make those mountains quite a bit lighter. So I'm taking that down so that those areas cannot be affected and will be a little bit darker right in those areas. So that's really making it so it's mainly the foreground that's being affected. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say new, and I'm going to make a new one for the sky. So I'm going to go for the top here, and I'll fade this down a little bit, bring in an angle to sort of match here. And I'm just going to kind of increase my contrast a little bit here so that we get kind of a more intense sort of sky coming through this way. And I like that for the most part there. So I'll hit done, and I'm just going to show you what this looked like before I got started here. So here's how we started today, and here is with all my changes being made. So you can kind of see I've been playing around a fair amount, and I've been able to mess around with the sky independent from the foreground, and it's giving me a chance to really edit this image in a unique way. Very popular for landscapes.